Right, the concept I'm going to tell you about today is so stupid simple. Everyone should know about it. When I learned about this concept, I want to say it changed my life, but it didn't. But it did make me millions of dollars because it's so effective and it's such a great way to conceive of organizing and arranging your products, especially in an online education business, which is what I'm all about and what I'm trying to help you do here. In case you don't know me, my name is Ollie Richards. I'm the founder of StoryLearning.com and a number of seven-figure education businesses. I also write a newsletter about online education businesses at ollierichards.co. More about that later. I'm going to tell you about selling peaks along the mountain. I wish I could take credit for this idea, but I stole it from someone whose name I don't know. It was 2015. I was in a marketing conference in London. Terrible conference, but this one guy was a great speaker, and he talked about this. It was like a throwaway comment in the middle of a 60-minute talk. He didn't think anything of it, but something lodged in my brain, and over the subsequent years, I implemented this into my business, Story Learning, which is a foreign language education company. I'll show you some examples of that a little bit later. Having not known this, I'm not sure that I would have arrived at where I did. So I'm going to tell you all about it now. I'm channeling this guy, whatever his name is. In 2020, it was summer 2020, I was locked down with everybody, not with everybody else, like everybody else. God, imagine that would be a nightmare, wouldn't it, if you're locked down with everybody else. I was locked down, kind of stressed, and everyone was talking about how they were using the time to learn new skills. It made no sense to me because I was homeschooling my daughter, living in a cramped flat, and it was a total nightmare. But I kind of felt this FOMO in a way that I wasn't learning a new skill, so I decided to learn drawing, which is something I thought about learning for a while. So I bought 2 courses. This is course number 1. This is course number 2. I'm not going to tell you what course number 1 is, or who it's by rather, because I don't want to course shame them. But course number 1 was a course on how to draw anything. I think that was, in fact, the title of the course, How to Draw Anything. It was a Scandinavian guru, illustration guru. I mean, fantastic. You should see his drawings. It's really out of this world. And the whole premise of the course was, I'll teach you to draw anything just like me. And I thought, well, that's great. So I joined up, tried the course, and he would basically say things like, if you can just imagine it, then you can draw it. Of course, I was a complete beginner, couldn't do any of it. I got frustrated and gave up. And then I came across this course, which is called, I don't know what it's called, but it's like how to draw stick figures. And if you zoom in, you can actually see. It's really, really cool. Just drawing simple stick figures kind of teaches you the basics of how to draw. Anyway, it was brilliant. It was like a $20 ebook. I really loved it. It worked for me. I was able to draw stick figures in all these different poses, and I kind of felt, right, this, should I continue to learn to draw? This is the kind of foundation. This is the sort of stuff I want. And I loved it. At this point, this teacher could have offered me literally anything and I would have bought it. It could have been like a $5,000 drawing academy. I would have gone for it because I was so enamored with the approach, the results that I got, the motivation I found from it, and the style of teaching and everything. And so there is a big contrast between these two approaches. Now, ignore the fact that this first course didn't work for me. Imagine it had have worked. And it had successfully taught me to learn to draw anything. What could he have offered me next? Where is there left to go? He's already taught me to draw everything. What's next? There's nowhere else to go. So what this guy did is he tried to sell me the summit of the mountain. From zero to hero in one fell swoop. Everything you need to know. Here you go. Here it is. And that's it. And even if it works, the big problem with this approach is after you've reached the end of the mountain, the only way is down. There's nowhere else to go. You can parachute down or fall off, one of the two. When I look around the online education world, so many people make this mistake. A lot of people, especially creators, when they launch their first course, they want to create like the ultimate course, the best course ever. It's become a bit of a cliche now when I talk to creators. And they'll say things like, I want this to be the best course in the whole industry. I'm really going to give it 100%, as if no one else does that. The thing that makes creators and teachers great is that they have so much knowledge, but it's a big mistake to try and pass on all of it in one go. Instead, what you want to do is instead of selling the summit of the mountain, what you want to do is sell peaks along the mountain on the way to the summit. And this is what the stick figure course did so well. What the stick figure course did was sell me this first tiny little mini peak along the way. It was a very specific, small thing, really not the kind of mind-blowing results that you might want to stick all over social media. But from the perspective of the learner, it was fantastic. It was a small little goal, but it was achievable. I did it, I felt accomplished, and I then would have quite happily gone on to follow all the other peaks along the mountain. And then the thing is that you spend more money each time. And I much prefer, like everyone loves recurring revenue memberships. I don't like that model for the most part. Sometimes it can work, but I prefer to have a situation where your customers are encouraged and motivated to continue buying from you afresh, because usually you can sell for higher amounts than you'd get from the average lifetime value of a membership anyway, but it allows you to keep renewing that passion and to keep offering new objectives. And if you adopt this approach over, say, a straight membership model where people just inevitably drop off, or against the sort of value per person who enters your world when you're trying to sell like a really kind of high ticket complete solution, for everything that I see, all different businesses in the education space, this wins every single time. There's nothing better than having customers who want to keep coming back to you month after month, year after year. And so selling peaks along the mountain is the way to do it. Why does this work so well? Well, actually, before I tell you that, how about I show you how I actually put that into practice? So my original business, my main business, storylearning.com, it's all about language learning. When I first started this business years ago, the very first big course that I made was basically, it was called Language Learning Foundations. It's a great course, but what I was trying to teach you in that course is the secrets to learn any language. And I was making this exact mistake, right? I was selling the summit of the mountain. Problem was, once I've told you my secrets for learning any language, what am I going to tell you next? There's nowhere else to go. Big mistake, classic mistake. This is the mistake that everyone makes. These days at Story Learning, if you want to learn, say, Spanish, you've got peaks along the mountain and diversions, stations along the way, like at every single step. So you have, for those learning Spanish, you've got level 1, and then level 2, level 3, level 4, level 5, level 6. These are the peaks along the mountain. And it works perfectly for language learning because you go in stages. If I tried to teach you like the whole of Spanish in one go, how's that possible? Not going to happen. Even if I could make the course, but you wouldn't do it. You'd give up. It would be far too much work. So instead, we sell the peaks along the mountain. So that's how we do it. And the reason that this works so well, regardless of the price points that you have, is when you're selling smaller, more defined, more tangible, possibly lower ticket, although not necessarily. Our courses at Story Learning cost hundreds of dollars, but smaller chunks along the way, you convert customers more easily because it's more believable. If I tell you I'm going to teach you to draw stick figures, you kind of believe me, right? You feel like you can do it. So you convert customers more easily, especially if it's a lower price point. You create wins because I can learn to draw those stick figures really quite easily and feel like I've learned something. You build trust because you trust the teacher that gets you that result, and then you get repeat customers, so they keep on spending money with you. And this is a really kind of magical combination, and it's what comes from selling peaks along the mountain. So, not my idea, but I've embraced it with every fiber of my being, and I take this approach in all of my businesses. If you'd like more like this, subscribe to the channel, leave me a comment below, because YouTube kind of likes it. I read every single YouTube comment, so leave me a comment, that would be cool. Like the video. Oh God, I hate having to say that, but I have to, because this is how YouTube works. So do all those things, please. And then you might like to subscribe to my newsletter over at ollyrichards.co, where you can also download my 117-page case study, Anatomy of a $10 million online education business. Quite a lot of people have downloaded this and liked it. I hope you will too. Cheers.